Okay. So there are 6 of us in the room right now. So hello everyone, and thank you for joining us in this working group on training and developing materials session. I'm going to be co-leading this session with my colleague, Mr. Peter Pisorsens, and 2 early career ocean professionals, Ms. Sherry Raman and Abby Alela, who should be joining us in a little while. And we're getting some help from an OBPS steering group committee representative, Ms. Claudia Delgado, who's going to help us manage the session. So for today's breakout session, as part of the plenary, I think that we're going to provide introduction on the session, the scope of the session, the points for discussion, and also to give you an overview of the schedule for next week's breaking group discussion, as well as to perhaps agree on some other questions that you might want to propose, which were not covered in the initial proposed questions. So, but perhaps before we go ahead with that brief presentation that I prepared, perhaps we can just quickly, get to know each other, since there's really just a few of us in this room right now. So yeah, let me start. I'm Johanna Diva. I'm with the UNESCO IOC, and I'm working with the project office for IOD in Belgium, but I'm actually based in Manila, so I'm joining this call from Manila, Philippines. So don't be surprised if you hear the roosters crowing in a short while, because it's about 3 a.m. From my part of the world. So yeah, welcome to all of you. If you could just briefly introduce yourself, your organization, and perhaps give us some idea on your rationale, your interest in joining this working group, that would be very much welcome. Just told you about it. All right. So yeah, maybe Peter can start with the.
Sure. I'm Peter Pisorsens. I'm working at the IOC of UNESCO, mainly dealing with the International Oceanographic Data and Information Exchange Program, IOD, but I'm also coordinating the capacity development activities of the IOC, and so I work with Johanna and Claudia. Okay.
Thank you, Peter. Ms. Sherry.
Hi, my name is Sherry. I work with the Consortium for Ocean Leadership, and I work in the program that supports the Interagency Ocean Observation Committee, and I'm based in Arizona in the US.
Thank you, Sherry. Next in my screen is Claudia.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm Claudia Delgado. I'm based at the IOD project office of IOC UNESCO in Belgium. As Peter already mentioned, I work together with Peter in one specific component of capacity development, which is training through the Ocean Teacher Global Academy. Yeah.
Thank you, Claudia. Next, we have Ms. Alexis.
Hi, my name is Alexis Villari-Orton. I work for the Ocean Foundation, where I'm a program officer. The Ocean Foundation is a community foundation based in Washington, D.C., but I am based in Seattle, Washington. And I run our International Ocean Acidification Initiative, which is primarily a capacity development initiative, including with a large focus on monitoring and kind of data production and serving of data. I also am involved in an effort that started at Ocean Obs 19 to develop basically more funding to support capacity development in ocean science. So I've been co-leading this effort with Brian Arbuck, and then actually we have new co-leads, including Eda Mahu, who you just heard from in the plenary, who are helping us craft basically a call for funding to create a pooled fund to try to find more like rapid deployment of funding to groups on the ground doing ocean science capacity development.
That's great. Thank you, Ms. Alexis. And we have Ms. Christine B.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kristen. Sorry, we're having storms right now, so my power might be flicking in and out. But I work for Oregon State University with the regional class research vessels program. So I'm involved with the building of the 3 new UNOS vessels that are funded by the National Science Foundation. And so my position with them is the marine science engineer, systems engineer. But my job before this was I was a marine technician out on the oceanographic research vessels. And I'm also still involved with RV Tech, which is a collaboration of marine technicians that go out on the NSF-funded UNOLS research vessels. And so I'm still part of that community, and I'm very passionate about helping training marine technicians. So I'm part of a training subcommittee that helps with standardization as far as training goes for marine technicians. So I'm very excited to be here and be a part of these discussions.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Christine. So that's very interesting to have. It looks like our group is composed of really young fellows in here, and very much experienced in the field of training as well. We look forward to hearing your experiences and perhaps your inputs in our discussion. And so now I'm going to start. I'm going to share this brief presentation that I prepared, just to give you a short introduction about what our working group is all about and what we are trying to accomplish by the end of next week for this workshop. So this working group is actually going to discuss the methodology to provide training in the development and documenting of best practices, their submission to the OBPS, and identify any challenges and potential pitfalls in this regard. So our discussion should aim to consider how to ensure that the OBPS as an evolving system fosters collaboration, consensus building, and innovation by providing coordinated and global access to best practices and standards across ocean sciences and applications globally and equitably. So, during the course of next week's discussion, we are going to try to solicit your inputs and your insights on how we can perhaps fulfill this mission that we have for this group. So for next week's schedule, hold on. Can you still see my screen right now? All right. So let me go back to an overview of the sessions next week. Since we aim to accommodate global participation, we scheduled 2 sessions on Monday and on Tuesday in different time zones. On Monday, we're going to have it in 1400 UTC, and on Tuesday, we're going to have the session at 0200 UTC. This is basically to accommodate the participants from Asia and Australia. And then on Wednesday, we will have the summary session. We're going to try to synthesize and come up with a summary of all the discussions from Monday and Tuesday session on Wednesday. That's also on 1400 UTC. So we hope to see you in these sessions, depending on the available and convenient time zone from your place. Now, we came up with several questions to guide us through the discussion. And the focus of this question is, the first one is to solicit and to understand from your points of view and from your experiences working in the field of training and capacity development on fields that are related to ocean best practices. Perhaps the existing training programs that you are currently engaged with or aware of. So we hope that you can share your lessons learned or the nature of your programs and the methodologies that you are employing in your initiatives. That would be very useful to the discussion. And by the way, just feel free to jump in if you have any questions or further comments as we go along the presentation. The second question is to identify and to understand who are the target user groups for the OBPS training. I understand from other participants, they are looking for opportunities on OBPS training, but it's also important for us to understand who should be the target user groups for these initiatives. So that's also an important question for our discussion. And the third one is to help us understand what capacity development methodologies can promote the wider use of OBPS. So we have different modes of, we have different methodologies that can cater different communities and different user groups. And so these refer to like online courses, face-to-face training, summer school. Other organizations employ summer school, internship, and traineeship programs. And so if you are engaged in these kinds of initiatives, or you are aware of how these methodologies can be an effective way of promoting the wider use of OBPS, and we'd like to hear from your views about this point. And the fourth question is, what existing tools, resources, or platforms, yes, what existing tools, resources, or platforms can be utilized for training on the development and dissemination of ocean best practices? Are there toolkits, manuals, handbooks, or videos, or training portals from your organizations or other organizations that you know, which we can tap and we can work with to deliver and to provide this training on OBPS? The fifth question is on the best practices. What best practices in e-learning, for example, the online courses, webinars, MOOCs, that can contribute to the effectiveness and success of OBPS training? And then for the sixth question, well, earlier in the plenary, we hear about the powerful perspective from the, I think it was Claudia, it was from the indigenous community. And I think that is quite related to our sixth question. That's how we can engage non-scientific communities and practitioners in the creation, adoption, and routine employment of best practices. And of course, what are the challenges and potential pitfalls that you can imagine when in delivering and supporting OBPS training across diverse user groups? So these are the initial questions that we can explore for next week's session. But if you think that there are other questions that we should include in the discussion, then yeah, please let us know. You can share it with us right now, so then we can include it in and the key points for discussion. And yeah, so basically those are the questions that we should think about when we have the session, the breakout discussion next week. Any questions so far?
Johanna, I did just look at the survey and kind of filled it out quickly, and I had one thought come to mind about maybe an additional question. It's sort of implied, and we're asking who should use the ocean best practices, but I also feel like not just who should use, but who should like just be aware and be more, incorporate them more, because I think there are a lot of people doing training efforts who might not have much experience in training. They sort of do it as like an add-on to something that they're doing, and they kind of ignore the best practices that are out there. So it's more so than just, I think, who will use them, but how can we make sure that people are using them, that people are incorporating best practices into any of their training, that they're, you know, not recreating entire modules when something already exists.
Oh, that's a very good point, Alexis. Thank you for raising that point. Yes, I think that yes, when we asked about who should use this training, we also should consider that the like post training, would they be using it sustainably, or would they be adopting this best practices? But also that yes, how can we make sure that the best practices are incorporated in the training initiatives of or this training program. So yes, and thank you for visiting the Survey Monkey. My next slide is actually about that, because your initial thoughts and the insights that you're going to share for next week's session would be very, very useful for us to come up with key points as we prepare recommendations to the OBPS community and how we can further provide training on ocean best practices. So yes, we'd like to ask our participants to fill in your inputs in the online forum, and this is the link for that. It's just a list of questions, and you can just put your thoughts in the form so that we can come up for next week on the key points, and that would definitely guide us, and that would facilitate a smoother flow of discussion. Thank you, Alexis. I hope to see your other insights in the online forum. Any other comments from the group?
Yeah, just saying we may need to make a bit of publicity for our working group. Looking at the others, there are a few others with a very small number of participants, but I noticed there's still quite a few people in the plenary room. So either they don't know how to get out of there, or they decided to have coffee together. I don't know. So let's hope we get more people for the next session on Monday. And maybe during your presentation later, you can call on people to join.
Oh yes, also later, yes, because we are going to also present this in the later after the breakout sessions. We're going to reconvene in the plenary, and I'm going to give a quick overview of this again. And yes, we can promote our group in the but I'm also wondering why there are a lot of people in the plenary without the attending the breakout session. But yeah, perhaps in the plenary we can promote this again later.
Yep.
Yeah, so if there is no other question from our current group right now, I think we can have the next 5 to 10 minutes to proceed to the SurveyMonkey link. Let me put that in the chat box. Right. Oh yeah, there. Thank you, Claudia. You put it there already. Okay. So shall we then proceed to the SurveyMonkey platform? If there's no other question from Alexis and Christine, yeah, please just start filling in your inputs in the online form. And then I think I can stay here. So when there are other people coming in, we can tell them again what to do. I think if I understood Alexis' introduction earlier, I think it's also interesting to hear from her point of view, because Ocean Foundation, I think, is like a funding organization as well. She mentioned something about training and capacity development in one of the programs that they are supporting. So that's also a good perspective from the point of view of a funding organization, and how the training for OBPS can be further promoted.
Yeah, I see that an additional person joined, Edward Senkondo, but he's not yet on audio or video, but he's trying to come in, I think.
Who is that?
Edward Senkondo.
Oh, okay.
You can see him in the Kiko chat window. He's trying to join.
Because this, Peter, this meeting doesn't have a waiting room, so they should be able to join at any moment.
Oh, he's disappeared.
Right, yeah.
He disappeared.
We're not holding them, so. Where did you see, you can see him, Peter?
Well, in the left part of the Kiko chat window, under in our working group, you see the members of the different groups.
Right.
And a moment ago he was there, but he disappeared again.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah,
Abby, I think Abby is online. Maybe she can briefly present herself.
So
yes, Abby, are you there?
Oh, so as I understood it the other day, the way that the Kiko chat works is if you just have like your little icon square in the window, that means that you're viewing the page, but that doesn't mean that you're inside. So if you have the little video icon on top of your icon, that means that you're actually in the Zoom call. So it just seems like they're viewing the web page potentially.
Oh, I see. So then now I'm not sure if the other participants who are in our page but are not joining this call yet know that they should click, that join the video call. Otherwise, they might think that they're just waiting for everyone to show up without them clicking that join video there. I don't know. Is Abby here? I thought I saw her too, but no, she's not in the call too, but she's in the page. All right, thank you, Alexis. Thank you for filling in the survey. I will, yes, see you then when you're back online. I think we lost Abby. She's not really in the group call. So Christine, are you which session are you joining next week? Are you joining the Monday or the Tuesday one? You're from Oregon, right?
Yeah, I was planning on joining the Monday one, but I don't really have a preference in either one. I just signed up for the Monday one earlier today.
I see. And is Tuesday time zone also good in your?
Yeah, that would also be 7 p.m. my local time, so I could do both if that would be helpful.
All right, great.
As I'm filling out the survey too, I just wanted to mention that I helped put together, it wasn't specifically marine technician training this last fall, but it was in regards to computer networking. So like learning about like computer networks and how they operate and kind of just from a basic level. And we did bring in marine technicians from all over the US. And just from that perspective of putting together a training in person, and we try to make it more accessible to people online afterwards, it really takes like a whole nother level of skills to try and have that coordinated effort and like forefront and planning for both having an in-person and like an online deliverable afterwards. So
Right.
I'm sure we'll be talking about that later on, but I have much appreciation for people that do training all the time.
Right, but that's very interesting because I think that your experience is unique in a way that, so the training that you attended was a face-to-face training, right? And then from there you developed it to be available as an online training, is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. So we're still working on making the deliverables. Basically, we took the audio from the training and we overlaid it with the PowerPoint, and so we will have those available online to the people that weren't available to go. But I mean, that takes a lot of editing and a lot of
Oh yes,
like
I'm sure.
hours to do.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was really neat because I had attended a different training where they were talking about the same, computer networking, and he had experience specifically in training chipboard people, and I was like, perfect. You should come to this one. And so I set it all up, and I mean, it's a lot of work to do an in-person training as well as the.
I can imagine just the transcribing of the audio. I mean, I'm not sure if you're also, providing that subtitle, but it's also very time consuming as well. But
Yeah, so I think that should definitely be an aspect that we talk about as far as like, funding goes, but also getting like the right people to put together these programs and have the follow through for the deliverables.
And where is this online? Where is it available?
So we don't have it available yet. One of my old colleagues, so this was at my last position, but she's still working on transcribing and putting together the videos. But yeah, it's not necessarily for ocean best practices in general. It's more just for computer networking and people that have like, internet and shipboard networks that they have to manage. But yeah, that's still something we're trying to figure out. But I'm just saying, just like, first off, it's really a lot of work.
But I think, it offers some lessons because, I mean, from a face-to-face training methodology, then you develop it and make it available online. There must be some good lessons to learn from that experience. Definitely. And with the online thing, online sessions going on nowadays, I think that's going to be a very useful reference for others who are also planning to develop such training programs.
Yeah, and I'd be really curious to hear other people's perspectives as well as look at some like collaboration ideas for future training.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if I can jump in regarding the course that you're basically translating into an online context. I don't know if you're aware of Ocean Teacher Global Academy, which is one of the capacity development tools of IOC. We may perhaps discuss, well, not necessarily now here, but depending on the contents, on exactly the audience and so on, we could discuss hosting the course for you on the Ocean Teacher Global Academy platform. So an open question to be discussed.
That sounds great. I would love to discuss that with you.
Yeah, thank you, Claudia. Actually, Christine, Claudia will be in our sessions next week, and she's also going to make a brief presentation on the OTGA, the Ocean Teachers Global Academy. So yeah, I think we can learn much from there too, and perhaps explore how your online content can be made available in that platform.
This might be a question for the organizers, but if I'm aware of a program that does internships for early career professionals into kind of learning about sensors and stuff, she's the coordinator for that program. I don't think she's aware of the ocean's best practices. Is it too late for her to sign up and be a part of some of the conversations for next week? Because I think it might be very interesting to have her looped into these conversations.
Well, I think there is a registration for the participants. Let me check if that is still on. I can share you the link, and then your friend can try if that is still on. And then once she's there and she registered in the Kiko chat, she can join this our working group. And let me just look at that link. Yeah, I think we have to reconvene in the plenary in a few minutes, in 10 minutes. So yeah, I don't think people are gonna come in this late in our window. So yeah, so I will just be presenting the quick introduction later in the plenary. And yeah, we look forward to having you, Christine and Alexis, to next week's session. Yeah, Christine, I'll send you a private, I'll send you an email, the link, so your friend can try to register. Sherry, Peter, do you have anything else to add before we close
No,
this session?
no, I don't think so. I mean, both Cherie and myself have taken some notes, and as we said, we would split them. So I don't know if you want to try and consolidate what is there in terms of comments that were made and include that in your presentation.
I will see. Yeah,
It's not that
let
much,
me.
so
Right.
and it's mostly Cherie who has taken the notes on comments. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the for the plenary we can just present this introduction for the moment, and then perhaps the notes. Well,
Okay.
I'll look at the notes later. Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Okay, Cherie.
Yep, I'm good.
So then now we leave this room again and we go back to the plenary, or I mean the plenary will begin at let's see, in 20 minutes apparently, right?
Right. I think if you want to drop by in some other groups too, you can do that. But maybe it's quite too late to join other groups, but you can do that if you want to drop by in other working group. And then we'll see you in the plenary.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you. Thank you all.